And welcome to a new episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Sklansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And, remember those times where we watch a cartoon on TV and we're like, man, I really wish that became a movie?
And then 15 years later, it decided to become a movie.
Yeah, it's like this show, The Simpsons, that has been a TV show forever. And they were like, you know what? Let's make a movie.
Yeah.
And it was really good. Like the best Simpson movie in the world.
Because it's the only Simpsons movie in the world?
Because it's the only Simpsons movie in the world. And now, this episode, Bart and Lisa get to experience what we got to experience 15 years ago. Their favorite TV show, Itchy and Scratchy, is finally getting a movie.
Well, I don't think the Simpsons movie came out 15 years ago. I think it was like 8.
Okay. Well, either way.
But yes, this is Season 4, Episode 6, Itchy and Scratchy, the movie. And what a movie. So, the original air date for this was November 3rd, 1992. And this is actually a Tuesday, not a Thursday, like they would normally run from season, I believe it was 2 through 6, before it got moved to Sundays.
Okay, so did you figure out why a Tuesday?
I did, but I forgot.
Good. Great research. I love it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I should have written that down.
That would have been a good thing to tell our audience.
It's a Tuesday, not a Thursday. They were feeling saucy. Let's go with that. That's the reason they were feeling saucy. Recap. When Bart is grossly negligent, Homer forbids him from seeing the new Itchy and Scratchy movie. Because, Bart, he's not a good kid sometimes.
No, in this episode, we'll get into some of the shenanigans that he got himself into.
He definitely pulls off some shenanigans.
Yeah,
some of them are very funny. Some of them are not.
Yeah, some of them are just lazy.
Yeah. Chalkboard gag. I will not bury the new kid.
No, is this Samantha Stanky?
Well, we did get a new kid in this episode.
We did? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But was he new like Samantha Stanky, or was he just with the first introduction of him?
Well, he's new. I've never seen this kid before.
Okay, not in the background or anything?
No.
All right, well, I guess we could probably go with that. But yeah, burying the new kid, I mean, he's probably like, hey, you got to pass an initiation. I bury every new kid in the schoolyard up to their neck.
Yeah. I don't know. Did Bart break into Willie's shed to get the shovel?
Probably. Well, that's probably the only place you can get a shovel.
Probably.
And this is not the only chalkboard gag we'll see tonight.
No, it won't. And the second one is a different person.
I know. So this is so I think if we've been keeping track, this will be the second episode where we get 2 chalkboard gags.
Second or third?
Yeah, I think it's second.
So, the couch gag this week. The Simpsons sit on their couch and it deflates because apparently their couch is a blow-up couch now.
Well, okay, to be fair, we never actually learned what type of couch Herb got him in Brother Can You Spare 2 Dimes, so...
But this is episode 6. We've already had 4 couch gags.
I guess.
Because, one of those episodes is Treehouse 4.
Well, maybe this is like the backup couch. Like, when something, like when a couch turns into an alien or, falls through the floor or implodes or something. This is like this is like their backup couch. It's just an inflatable couch that looks exactly like the Simpsons couch.
Yeah.
And now we know what they do when all their couches go away.
Yeah. They get an inflatable couch.
That makes sense. So one other thing I wanted to mention about the opening sequence is this episode, and I don't remember it from any of the other past ones, but this episode, when Bart and his skateboard fly out of the school, the sidewalk looked really green.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Like Hulk green.
Oh.
It was really weird. So I'm going to keep an eye on that for the next episode and see if anything changes on that front.
Okay.
So, episode opens Star Trek number 12. I mean, it is kind of funny how... Okay, so what were they at in 92? Because it was Wrath of Khan.
I think they were up to 4, weren't they?
4. So I guess the Simpsons were kind of being a little bit bold.
Yeah.
Thinking that they're going to be on number 12 by now.
Yep.
But, I mean, it is kind of funny to learn that Star Trek is in the Simpsons universe.
Well, and as we learn but we'll learn in a few weeks, one of the actors, does exist in the Simpsons universe.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And so we get Captain Kirk sitting in his, very famous bridge chair. Captain's log. Stardate. 6051. Had trouble sleeping last night. My facial hernia is acting up. The ship is drafty and damp. I complain, but nobody listens. Oh, Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
I guess he's getting cranky in his old age. And so we get a couple shots on the Starship Enterprise, and one of them is Scotty, and he can't reach the controls to beam anyone up. And to be fair, if Scotty ever needed to be beamed, I don't think he could even be beamed. I don't know what the weight limit on those.
Well, they're beams. They just rearrange your particles.
Yeah, but that's a lot of particles.
I'm sure the beam can handle it.
Maybe. And so then we zoom out into the Simpsons living room, and Grandpa's babysitting the kids, which apparently he does from time to time now.
Yep.
And he says movies are a ripoff. And he doesn't have to sit here and take this, and he falls asleep.
Yeah. It's so funny because it's Abe. Abe's that cranky. I mean, there's the picture in one of the episodes where it's old man yells at Cloud. I mean, it's classic Abe.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like they know how to utilize him, and obviously he's really tired, and his Homer and Marge are about to leave for the parent teacher conferencing. And Abe's already asleep on the couch. So, it's starting off very good for this evening of babysitting.
Yes.
And I don't know why you would need to dress up for parent-teacher conferences, but...
Well, I mean, maybe because Marge and Homer know that Bart is such a horrible kid, they want to make a nice impression.
Maybe, but I feel like everyone else at the conference was dressed up too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like especially in elementary school, when we did parent-teacher conferences, we went with our parents.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I thought we were... in the room.
Yeah, and that might have possibly been because there is nobody to watch us, but I don't remember because that was a very long time ago.
Yeah. And so Homer, makes a promise to the kids. If the kids are good, pizza for dinner. If they're bad, poison. And then Lisa asks, what if one of us is good and the other one is bad? Poison pizza? And then it's like, I don't want to make 2 stops.
I mean, it's hilarious, but why would you? I mean, I guess Homer asked, but they would have poison at home. So you just go buy the pizza. I'm sure they have some type of insect repellent or something at home you can use for poison. Also, probably shouldn't be poisoning your kids just because they're bad. And I think this is partially the setup to the rest of the story about, them misbehaving and punishments. So, but poison still seems like a bad punishment.
Yeah, but Homer really didn't know what he was getting himself into when Lisa posed that question. So Homer makes Marge talk to Bart's teacher because... Homer, they do it every year. That's how they do it every year. And, Marge is like, well, why don't you talk to, Bart's teacher and I'll talk to Lisa's teacher. And, he gets, really upset. He's like, but Marge, blah, blah, blah. And then, Homer ends up winning the argument. And Homer honks the horn and starts chanting USA after he got his way. I'm like, sure, Homer.
And then I love, because I've mentioned this before in previous episodes, and like this also happens in some movies, because now Homer's like chaining USA, honking his horn, and the lights are flashing as he's honking.
Yeah, I don't know why this is a thing. Why is this a thing?
I don't know. I asked my mechanic friend when it first came up, way back in season 1. He says older cars can do that. It's usually a wiring issue, and this is The Simpsons. So I'm sure there's probably something wrong with Homer's car. So maybe that's the writer's way of showing that the Simpsons aren't rich. They're lower middle class, and so they don't have the money to fix their cars.
Yeah. So we get to the school, and there's a banner at the school that says "Parent/Teacher Night. Let's share the blame."
Nah, it's always the kid's fault.
Yeah, usually. And so Homer goes into Lisa's classroom, and I love how he has to suck in his gut to sit in the desk.
It's weird because, like, I get why the gag is there, but there are parents in the background standing.
Yeah, and not that they're too fat, or maybe they just don't want to sit in their kid's desk, but also those desks are small. They're meant for kids. I feel like they would have pushed all the desks aside.
And just had, like, regular chairs.
Regular chairs, yeah.
Because I feel like in elementary school, I feel like that's kind of what they did.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, it's Homer. He's dumb.
Yeah, but yeah, and then I like how he proceeds to, unload his flab when he, sits down.
Yeah, he sucks in his gut just to sit down. Oh.
And then he does the Bart thing and makes farting noises with his armpit because that's funny.
Yeah, farts are funny.
Yep. And so then Marge meets Mrs. Krabappel, or Ms. Krabappel now, because she's no longer married.
Yep.
And she pulls out items out of a box that have been confiscated, and there's a bone.
Yep.
From something. A skull. I don't know how he got a human skull. Maybe he just stole it from, one of those, mannequin-looking skeleton things. Yep. Maybe that's where he got the bone from, too.
Maybe.
A chain. A slingshot, which, hey, is this the first instance of Bart having a slingshot?
I think the second.
Or what am I thinking? Like a acknowledgement that he likes slingshots.
I think this is the second time we see it.
Okay. But has he actually shot one yet?
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh no, he did. He was in the when he shot the no, we haven't done that yet. That's not the Itchy and Scratchy land. So we haven't done that yet. So okay, so I think we have not seen Bart actually physically use a slingshot yet.
Nope.
And a Krusty doll with a knife for a head. Well, not really for a head. It was
covered by
hit it like like the cane knife.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Krusty knife.
Oh my god. Why does Bart have that?
I don't okay. Bart does a lot of dumb things. I can't imagine this being one of those things Bart would really do.
I feel like one of the bullies made Bart hold it and he got caught and Krabappel thought it was his.
Yeah, that's gotta be it. Because Bart's not the type of kid that would be that bad.
I don't think he's that. He's not a good kid, but that level of bad, I don't think we've seen enough of that to warrant that gag. It's funny, but I don't think it's warranted.
Yep, exactly. And so then Mr. Krabappel says that Bart has been guilty of the following atrocities: synthesizing a laxative from peas and carrots, and replacing my birth control pills with Tic Tacs.
So I want to know how he did the first one.
Yeah, any scientists that listen to our podcast, let us know if this is something that's actually possible.
That's impressive. I don't think I'd be admonishing him for that one. I mean, maybe yell at the kid a little bit, but he clearly has a gift for science if he can synthesize a laxative with just 2 vegetables.
Well, I think it would have been really funny if this had been a prank in the Bart the Genius episode.
That would have been a good one. That would have been.
I think
now replacing Krabappel's birth control pills with Tic Tacs, that's not good.
No, that's a little mean. And then so Marge, doesn't think that Bart means to be bad, but then they cut the kids looking at the sleeping age, and Bart is now it's his chance to be bad.
Yeah,
He doesn't mean to be bad, but.
But he does. It's Bart. He means to do some things. So after that, we cut back to Lisa's classroom, and Mrs. Hoover is praising Homer for, raising Lisa right, and she's very smart. And she's like, "Oh, you must read to him you must read to Lisa when she was very young." And so then we get a flashback of Homer reading the TV guide to Lisa, and on the cover is Mr. T.
Dude, that is so awesome. And I'm sure Mr. T was on the cover of the TV guide at one point for like A-Team.
Oh yeah,
or for wrestling, one of the two.
Yeah, so that was funny. I enjoyed that because you can read. There's words in there, not necessarily smart words, but there's words.
But I love how Lisa was trying to escape. Like, the whole thing is she looks like she's just trying to get out of Homer's arms. Like, hey, read me Dr. Seuss or, not TV Guide.
I guess it's better than reading nothing.
Right. Well, hey, look. Vocabulary is built over reading. And really, as a kid that can't understand, actual words, reading any words helps. Talking to your kid helps regardless of what you're saying or doing. Yeah.
So then we cut back, and now the parents are all like gathered around Homer.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he told them that he read the TV guide. Like, why would you want to take parenting advice from Homer J. Simpson? And then he goes, "I believe in the 3 R's. Reading TV guide, writing to TV guide, and renewing the TV guide."
Yeah, he had to try to figure out the 3 R's of reading or writing.
Well, the 3 R's growing up were reading, writing, and arithmetic, which two of those aren't even R words.
Yep. God, I hated that so much.
Yeah. School taught us how to misspell writing and arithmetic. So then we cut back to Mrs. Krabappel, and she's like, "Well, we normally don't do this, but I have a witness." And she brings in a student named Arthur, and she's like, "Point on the doll where Bart put the fireworks." And they cut away, and all you see is Marge's reaction. She just gasps. I'm assuming the butt.
Yeah, usually. Area. I'm going to go butt area.
I'm going to go butt area, because that makes the most sense.
God, I get how bad Bart can be, but
I honestly understand what they're doing with this episode, but we've never seen this level of bad from Bart yet.
No, and I don't think we'll have to keep an eye on it, but I don't know if there's much after this, like that he's like completely like, shoving fireworks down someone's pants or
well, there was the megaphone episode,
but that was funny. That was it.
Yeah, it was still bad though. And then there was the episode where he didn't stay in the box factory.
Yeah, but that was that wasn't even bad either. That was just him spying on dudes at a country club. Like, yeah. I don't think shoving fireworks or whatever it was and a knife in a crusty head.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep an eye out for it.
So then we go back to Bart and Lisa, and Bart is trying to take Abe's dentures, and he goes, "Over the lips and through the gums. Watch out, dentures, here I come." And he's able to take Abe's dentures out without waking him up, and then putting them in his own mouth. I get the joke, but I agree with Lisa, because she goes, "Ew." I agree. That's really gross.
Yeah. And I don't
You don't know where those teeth have been? We do.
They're in Abe's mouth.
Do you really want, grandpa germs?
Yeah.
God knows what diseases are in those dentures.
Well, not only that. Well, maybe he brushes them, but they soak them in alcohol, every night. So I feel like they're fine. But I guess the other thing is the whatever Abe uses for, denture glue to keep them in his mouth instead of falling out, that's... you know what I mean? Like that would have to be in there and on Bart's teeth.
So now we cut back to elementary school, and now Miss Hoover is giving a bumper sticker to Homer, that says, "My child is on the honor roll at Springfield Elementary."
Now,
And
now is that how those things were done? I thought parents bought those at like shops or something, or
I
at
mean,
this.
I'm sure maybe the schools give them to the parents.
I want to know. Well, did our okay? So I was always on the honor roll. I guess I don't know about you, but I was
I
always
was
on
yeah
it.
yeah I was
And
always on the honor
how
roll
come our parents never wanted to showcase how awesome we were on their bumpers?
because that's pretentious.
Oh, is yeah.
I hate anybody who drives a car with that sticker. I just think you're stuck up. That's nice that your kid is doing good in school. I don't need to know, nor do I care.
Well, yeah, you don't need to flaunt it.
Yeah.
And I don't know your kid, so who gives a crap?
Yeah. And I love a Homer is like, ooh, that can replace my "Where's the beef" bumper sticker, which we've never seen, which makes me very sad because I'd rather see that bumper sticker.
Now, wasn't there an episode where we did see a bumper sticker on Homer's?
Yeah, but I don't think it was "Where's the beef."
No, that's the thing. So I wonder if that got replaced by this one. Or no,
Maybe.
that one got replaced by the "Where's the Beef," and then now this one's going to replace that. And I bet you in every episode we never see this bumper sticker.
Probably not. So, and as you know, so Homer takes the bumper sticker, and as he's about to leave, Miss Hoover reminds him that he's still stuck to the desk, which I guess for Homer, maybe he wouldn't notice that with all his girth, but yeah, I don't know.
That was
funny though.
Like, how would he get up
funny.
and walk around? I don't think anyone can get up and walk around with a desk strapped to them.
Yeah, but it's Homer.
I guess.
Yeah, remember, he's fat. He can do this. So then we cut back to the house, and now Bart is biting down on the ceiling fan with Abe's dentures, swinging around, and Lisa played the song "Saber Dance" from the ballet Guyana, which is a great song. I love it. It's
Lisa
a great
didn't
choice.
play it. That was just what the
Playing.
That was
I
just
thought
the
she.
sound.
No, because she was standing by the record. I thought she played it.
No, I think that was just the
Soundtrack?
soundtrack of the
Oh,
episode. Because
still
it's
great.
funny.
Still a great song choice.
Yes.
Excellent song choice.
Yep. But what's really mind-boggling is how the hell did Bart even get up there? I didn't see a ladder or.
Well, it's possible maybe he got up there, bit it, and then he kicked the chair away.
And the other question is, has there always been a ceiling fan in the living room of The Simpsons?
I don't think we hardly ever see the ceiling, so I'm gonna go with yes.
Okay, let's put a pin in that because we're gonna look at some Simpson living room shots from here on out. Let's see if we see this so-called ceiling fan that's supposedly in the Simpsons living room.
So-called ceiling fan. So now we cut back to our second chalkboard gag, where Miss Krabappel makes Marge write, "I will try to raise a better child" on the chalkboard. And I do agree with Marge's reaction that...
Yeah, how is this supposed to help Bart?
This doesn't help. Why are you punishing Marge? Like, I agree with Marge. This does not help Bart in any way. I think Miss Krabappel wanted to try to make a point that Bart is bad by making Marge write on the chalkboard, but I don't think it really connects well.
No, and the other funny thing, I like how Homer walks by, haha, you got in trouble. Now, I would have loved to see the roles reversed where Marge is in Miss Hoover and Homer's in Krabappel and see if Homer would have to write on the chalkboard.
Probably. Well, I'm assuming Miss Krabappel would realize where Bart gets his bad behavior from.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. And then so Homer walks in, Krabappel's tells him they actually need to discipline Bart better. Yep. And to be fair, they really don't discipline, Bart. No. And, as kids growing up, I mean, we got grounded. I mean, we did stupid things.
And... To be fair though, the punishments didn't stick for very long.
No, until we got like video games. Then it was like, okay, I mean, that once we got into the realm of physically doing entertainment, like fun stuff, I think that stuck a lot longer than, sit in your room for, a half hour or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like maybe for you, but for me, it really never... I mean, there was a time where our mom grounded me for a month, and after 2 weeks, I was back to watching TV and playing video games.
Yeah, but that seems like that seems over excessive. But hey, we turned out okay. So see,
that debate still rages on.
oh, does it? And so it's so weird. Like I like how Kerbobble says, "Oh, Bart could join the Supreme Court or be a Supreme Court justice, like John Marshall, Charles Evans Hughes, and Warren Burger." Burger.
How is Homer so dumb yet so knowledgeable about Supreme Court justices?
He watches CNN. Remember the Hands Across America thing, or I don't know, maybe randomly turns on TV channels and somehow pays attention, or has selective memory.
Maybe a selective. I love that bit though, that Homer can be so dumb yet knowledgeable in just this one area.
Yeah. And so Marge asks what would happen if they don't discipline Bart. And Kerbobble says she doesn't know how low Bart can go. And Marge imagines Bart being a fat, exotic dancer is the worst possible outcome.
Okay.
That is pretty bad.
It's bad, but why wouldn't you think of him being, I don't know, a criminal?
Well, she still has some semblance for Bart. I mean, it's not illegal to be a stripper.
Exactly. So why wouldn't you go to the most illegal, worst thing possible? Like, I don't know, a drug runner.
No, see, that's not the thing. She still has at least some love for her kid that she's not going to think he's sunk that low. But being a, exotic dancer, I mean, that's pretty low.
I mean, I guess in Marge's eyes, that's bad, but is that really worse than even imagining him being, like, because we see Bart doing terrible things. Now, granted, I don't think they would lead to a life of crime. It's not like but remember, he had the chain and he had the knife. Now, we don't think the knife is his, but to me, that would, in my mind, maybe he'll turn out to be a criminal, which I would think would be worse than being an exotic dancer.
Yeah. But Marge, like I said, Marge doesn't have to imagine that. She just wants to imagine Bart being at a job. I think it was also the job thing. There's a job of Supreme Court Justice, and there's a job of exotic dancer. I don't think that's where her mind was going. I think what Bart could grow up to be, like, as a career.
Oh, fair.
So then we come back to the Simpson house, and Bart is now breaking records by biting them with Abe's dentures.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I do want to point out really quickly, this shot really makes it seem like Abe's teeth are oversized and cartoonish.
Yes.
Like, I feel like in Abe's mouth, they're normal teeth looking size, but this just makes it look like, I get he's a 10-year-old, so 10-year-olds have a hell of a lot smaller mouths than adults, but it just makes it seem like those are just overly sized and cartoonish.
Yeah.
So
it was, and our records, the other problem is, are records really that breakable with just biting them?
No, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like the only way that gag works is they make Abe's teeth oversized and cartoonish. Like,
yeah, it's a weird gag.
So Bart hears Marge and Homer pulling up and spits out the dentures and breaks them, which, I think swinging from a fan would break them. Shit, right? Even biting records might break them.
Yeah, the simple task of just spitting them out of his mouth and, I
mean, that would break him too, probably, but maybe they're just horrible, horrible dentures because his, health insurance or dental insurance is just god-awful. But then Bart, kind of freaks out. Like, I love how that's what he freaks out about. He's been doing all this other crap throughout the night. And he's like, oh, crap. The teeth. So he goes to the kitchen, tapes them all up, and then shoves them back in Abe's mouth. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And then I like how he's trying to act good, sitting on the couch. He's like, oh, I've just been here reading the Bible. Ew.
Here's my questions. So we see the Simpsons pull up
and then come
to
the
front of the house.
Door.
They came through the back door.
Why? I don't know. Oh my god.
And remember, when they left, they went out the back door.
Yeah, how did they get to the garage? Just run around the house?
What's the point?
Yeah, that's definitely getting in the realm of what in the world were they thinking?
I mean, maybe they had to do something in the backyard before they left. I will give them that, the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they had to let the dog in or something. But, like, what? Why are they entering from the back door when coming home?
Yeah, would they come in? Well, they probably walk through the kitchen, right? And then out through the kitchen door or kitchen entryway.
No, because the kitchen isn't near the garage.
Yeah, it is. They enter the garage door enters into the kitchen.
Oh. Well, that's the Lego set, though.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that's the same inside the Simpson house. Where does the garage enter to, then? The dining room?
No, the nowhere land. Because remember, the Simpsons house changes on whims.
No. So the garage... Okay, so if you look at the Simpson house from the outside...
Yeah.
The right window is the dining room.
Okay.
The left window is the main living room with the fireplace and everything.
Yeah.
And then behind that, that's the living room. And then to the right of that, that's the kitchen. Now, if you look at the garage, the garage door is just to the right of the dining room. And so that would stand to reason that the back of the garage would be the kitchen.
Okay.
The way the house is set up. So
but they were coming in through the side door.
Yeah, the backyard door. Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense. I don't quite.
This does not make sense. Look at the monkey.
All right. And so, yeah. And what else doesn't make sense is Grandpa talking with his garbled teeth. Yeah. And so Homer's like, you know what? If you don't start making sense, we're going to have to put you in a home. And Grandpa's like, you already put me in a home. Then we'll put you in a cricket home that we saw in 60 Minutes.
So maybe that's where Homer knows Supreme Court justices. They watch 60 Minutes.
And I like how Grandpa's like, I'll be good.
But it's weird because 60 Minutes is on CBS and not Fox. So I'm surprised that they would mention the show.
Yeah. And I like how Homer's like, he obviously doesn't believe that Bart broke his dentures. He's like, yeah, well, so what about some of the other things you said? The nurses are stealing my money. The thing on my neck is getting bigger.
I think Homer would notice a thing on Abe's neck getting bigger. I would hope. No.
Yeah, maybe? You would think. But then Homer tries to punish Bart. He's like, okay, we'll punish Bart. It's like, for your punishment, Grandpa gets to break your teeth. And Grandpa's like, ooh. And then, Marge's like, no. And then he's like, Bart, go to your room without dinner. And then, Bart's upstairs in his room complaining about being hungry. And Homer tries to bring pizza up to him. And Marge is like, hey, no. And I don't think, were we ever sent to our room without dinner?
No, I'm pretty sure I was not ever. There were times where I didn't get dessert.
Yeah, I think dessert was more our punishment than no dinner.
I think I've heard of kids not getting dinner, which that's almost as bad as spanking.
Yeah, that's not providing your kids food for whatever. Now, dessert's a different story. That's something that's a treat after dinner.
And I've definitely been told no dessert. Now, has that punishment always stuck? No, because I would sneak downstairs later and get dessert, but but yeah, sending a kid to bed without dinner, and I feel like maybe that was a 70s through early 90s thing. I don't know if in today's age.
Oh, that probably wouldn't fly. That would be gross negligence for your kid. Yeah.
You gotta feed your kid.
Well, even there'd be some times when Elliot was a little younger, not now, because now we can actually kind of do it. But when he was younger, he wouldn't eat, whatever we would put on his plate. Yeah. And he would be like, oh, I want grilled cheese, or I want mac and cheese. We're like, well, we don't have that. So if you don't eat that, you're not eating anything. And Shay would be like, well, you can't just say you can't eat anything. He has to eat something. And I'm like, okay, well, we can't just promise him whatever. We got to promise him what we have in the house that we could, make for him. And so it's kind of, that was not necessarily a gray area, but it was like, well, if he's not going to eat now, it's like, if you're not going to eat what's on your plate.
But I also feel like that's not really punishing him. That's just.
No. That's just saying, hey, if you don't want to eat what we give you, that's up to you.
Yeah. Now that he's a little bit older, You know, I mean, granted, growing up, we were kind of force-fed food. It was, well, you eat this or you don't eat anything kind of deal.
Yep, absolutely.
And that definitely happened when I was in elementary school, middle school-ish, because I hate fish. I hated fish growing up, and when Mom would cook us fish, I ate it, but I didn't eat it happily, because then I knew I was going to go hungry if I didn't.
Yep.
So now, you know, Bart's in his room. He's looking for food, and Santa's little helper comes in, and Bart looks at him, and he imagines the dog's face is a pizza box, and like as like the pizza box was like opening and closing, like, you know, Helper's little mouth.
Yeah.
And I love how like Bart like starts to lunge at him, and the dog runs out of the room.
Yeah, and I love the Looney Tunes gag for that. You know, like when you're on like the guys on the island, and they're you know, picturing the other guy on the island like as like a turkey drumstick or something like that. I do appreciate some of the Looney Tunes gags that the Simpsons does use.
That's fantastic. So then it's probably around like, you know, bedtime for Homer and Marge, I'm assuming at this point, because Homer sneaks Bart some pizza. And he goes, but you have to promise me you'll be good. Bart says, okay, I'll be good. And then Homer leaves, and Bart does that little evil laugh, you know, because he was lying. And yeah, Bart, this episode is so weird because, yes, we've seen Bart do bad things, and Bart has lied. But I get the setup to this episode, but it seems too far out there even for Bart.
Yeah.
So now, and before our first commercial break, we cut back to the home, and Abe sneaks into Jasper's room, trying to steal Jasper's dentures, but Jasper pulls a gun on him.
Yeah, that was just such a weird 3-second scene. Like, I'm like,
it was hilarious.
Yeah, kind of, but did you need it? Was that absolutely necessary?
Yes, because Abe's dentures are broken, and the Simpsons didn't replace them.
Yeah, but I'm sure he would have got another set the next day or whatever. It wasn't necessary that... I mean, yes, was it funny? Kinda. It wasn't absolutely necessary. No, it just seemed like a throwaway.
It was hilarious.
So the Simpsons writers were told, you need to add 3 more seconds to this episode to meet our criteria. All right, Abe stealing Jasper's dentures. Perfect.
Yep. So, now we get Lisa in the living room watching TV.
Yep. And we get our first commercial or trailer, as it were, for the Itchy and Scratchy movie. And, you know, Lisa yells for Bart, who's apparently melting a James Bond action figure in a microwave, because...
Well, he was playing, who had the cat? Was that Dr. No?
Dr. No, yeah.
Yeah, and he had Snowball too.
Yeah.
He's like, I expect you to die, Mr. Bond. And then he sets the microwave. And now, do action figures melt in the microwave? I've never tried that.
Well, yeah, it's heat with something that's plastic. Of course it's going to melt. It's like you do the magnifying glass on things. It's going to melt. Heat melts things. And it's a microwave. It's nuclear, dude.
That is true. Very true.
And so Bart comes in, and so Lisa and Bart are watching the trailer, and here is how Itchy abuses Scratchy during the trailer. First, he's poking his eyes.
Yep.
Shaving his scalp in the center. Scribbling on his face with a magic marker. Firing a flamethrower into one ear and out the other. Making 2-finger bunny ears behind his head. I don't know how that's very violent, but okay.
Yeah.
Blowing off the top of his skull with a cannon. That gets violent. And jumping into his skull and ripping out handsfuls of brains. That's a good trailer. I think I'd go see this movie.
And the best part, 53% of the movie is new footage.
So what did they do? Just take all the cartoons and... Like, that's what I never understood about the Itchy and Scratchy movie. It made it feel like it was just going to be a bunch of short episodes crammed into a movie and not really a movie.
Well, the other thing too, my thought with the 53% of the movie is new footage is maybe they had old footage that they never used.
Oh, you're talking about from episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
that didn't make it in the episodes, and they're like, well, crap, we this movie is too short. Here's extra crap to throw into it.
Well, it kind of reminded me of like when South Park did the Terrence and Phillip movie, where the movie itself just felt like clipped together episodes of like Terrence and Phillip. It didn't feel like it was like a real movie.
By the way, The Simpsons did it first.
They did. They turned a fake TV show into a real movie. So good for them.
Yeah, so then Homer comes in and he asks Bart if he took the trash out. I think this might have been the next day. I don't remember.
I think, wasn't it while they were watching? No, maybe you are right. I think it might have been the next day.
And Bart lies to Homer about taking the trash out. So Homer goes in the kitchen and there's just a pile of trash in the kitchen. We see some goats eating the trash. I don't question the goats being there, but I want to know how they got in the house.
And how no one noticed them getting into the house.
Like, these are two large goats.
Yeah.
And goats smell.
And how did the kitchen get that bad?
Like, I can't see Marge allowing the kitchen to get that bad.
Yeah, kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing about this episode just altogether so far, it's like the Itchy and Scratchy movie. It feels like it's just bits of jokes crammed into an episode. Like, it doesn't make it feel like a real episode. It's just
I know,
scenes upon scenes of jokes. Like,
yeah,
like no real story aside from Bart not being able to go to this movie. Like that's just seems like
wow, way to ruin it.
Yeah, right. Like we didn't know it was coming.
So Homer tells Bart he's going to punish him. And Bart talks his way out of it by telling Homer he can watch unpredictable Mexican sitcoms. And we get our first appearance of Bumblebee Man.
Yay. I love Bumblebee Man.
Bumblebee Man. He's hilarious.
Yep.
So now we cut to got a couple guys putting up the billboard for the new Itchy and Scratchy movie. And on the billboard, Itchy is chopping off Scratchy's head. Yeah. And the head goes down, and as it goes down, it squirts out blood from both sides. So a newlywed couple stops underneath it, because red light, I'm assuming, and they get sprayed with blood. And at first they look angry, but then they look up and notice the billboard, and they go, oh, that's funny.
It's Itchy and Scratchy. That's hilarious.
I'd be pissed.
I don't know.
I don't know how you make a billboard like that.
Well, okay, it would probably work the first, like, maybe 5 times Itchy chopped off Scratchy's head. Yeah. But after that, I feel like the billboard's running out of blood.
Yeah, you would need a lot of fake blood.
Yeah, and people to go out and replenish it every day.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I don't know if that would work, but it's a good billboard. I think it's a very, very... I think it would have worked. I think realistically it would have worked without the blood. But the blood,
absolutely.
But the blood made it more funny.
Yeah, and the blood was just there for the joke. So now we cut back to the Simpsons household, and Bart is smashing mustard packets with a hammer, singing Jingle Bells. Yep. Again, I agree with you. This just seems like random nonsense.
Yeah, it's so weird, and like some of the
maybe that's the point because of the Itchy and Scratchy movie.
Maybe, but few things. Okay, so first, it's. Okay, so everything that Bart does to, get punished is just completely random. We have not taking out the trash. Okay, that I get. That's pretty normal.
Yep.
Just in the living room smashing ketchup packets into the carpet? Like, is he that bored? There's literally a TV there. And we know he has a Nintendo-like gaming system.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, come on. Is it the ADHD finally kicking in?
Maybe. Or like... I feel like maybe this isn't a school day, so maybe he'd be hanging out with Milhouse or other friends. Like,
yeah, it's just so weird. And so I don't know if we want to get into it right this particular second, but one of my other gripes with this whole episode is we know Itchy and Scratchy the movie comes out on Christmas Day.
We'll get to that later.
But if anyone's wondering why Bart is sitting here smashing mustard packets while singing Jingle Bells, that's why, because
I guess that makes sense.
Clearly it's supposed to be Christmas time, Yet there's no snow outside. The Simpsons, we know the Simpsons like decorating for Christmas. There's zero Christmas presents.
There's zero snow.
Zero snow. Like
it doesn't even like even okay. Granted, there are times, especially in the Midwest, where there isn't snow on December 25th or even in December.
But I'm talking Christmas decorations.
Even like dead
the mention of
trees.
Christmas. I mean, nothing. Okay,
it doesn't look like winter.
Let's finish let's keep talking and we'll rant about this a little later.
But wait, there's more.
I know.
Because right here.
Yep, so Homer's just about to punish Bart, and then he hears the ice cream truck outside and runs after it. I don't know any Midwestern town, especially, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, like all like snow-based states where an ice cream truck is present during the winter.
Yeah, this is not the only thing I can think of is they're in the South where they don't get snow.
Yeah, but okay, well let's keep moving along. So then I like how the truck pulls up and the sign on the ice cream truck reads Native American ice cream, formerly Big Chief Crazy Cone.
Yeah, I don't know if that would pass today's censors.
Well, I think it's more of a joke than anything.
It is. I get it. There's also the Indian caricature on the van that's mostly covered up.
Yeah.
But I mean, with how sensitive people are these days, I don't know if Simpsons would attempt.
Well, Simpsons maybe, but keep in mind with American Dad, Family Guy, Rick and Morty, like a lot of these shows, maybe it's more of a Fox thing, but even Family Guy's on Fox, and that gets away with
a lot.
So I don't.
Well, they did do the episode where their house is buried on an Indian burial ground. So I mean,
yeah. So I think it would fly. I think with the way they presented the joke, I think it would have flown. But yeah, so, Homer pushes through the kids to get to the ice cream truck because, he's an asshole. He wants to get his ice cream. And, then he's sitting on the curb with Bart. He's like, oh, what was I punishing or talking to you about? And, Homer's like, oh, it was about that time you told me how you got out of jury duty. And it's like, the trick is to say you're prejudiced against all races.
I don't know if that would work.
I've never had the honor of serving on a jury in our court system.
No, I have not. I've had one summons in 16 years, and my number didn't get called. And even so, I think if you tell a judge you're prejudiced against everybody, that means you're not biased, which is, the joke. Yeah. And so you would definitely get selected for jury duty.
Yeah. And so next up, Bart is in the living room. One's like pulling up carpet.
And they have hardwood underneath. And honestly, it looks better. I hate carpeting. Bart, you can come to my house and pull up the carpeting that's left in my basement.
Yeah, but why is Bart this is just like the mustard packet thing.
Yeah.
Why is Bart just sitting there pulling up carpet? Like, it's just so random.
It's his ADHD.
Yeah. And so Homer is just sitting up on the couch while all this is happening, and Marge and Lisa come home with beets, and Marge yells at Homer for not punishing Bart. And
I mean, I agree. Like, I feel like, if we were pulling up carpet or whatever, like, it just, I don't know. It's so weird.
Yeah, and so Marge
we'd get yelled at.
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, you lit the carpet on fire and got punished, so it's almost like the
I
same
was
thing.
3. No, I didn't. I didn't get punished for that. You got punished for that. I was 3 when I lit your carpet on fire.
Yeah. Why would I get punished, though?
Because you were supposed to be watching me.
Oh, fair enough. So Marge is...
As we'll see, Bart gets punished, too, for not watching his kid.
Yeah.
Or his sister.
Yep. And so Marge's like, do you want your son to become Chief Justice of the Supreme Court or a sleazy male stripper? And Homer's like, why can't he be both? Like late Earl Warren. Earl Warren wasn't a stripper. Now who's being naive?
So I looked this up. Earl Warren was not a stripper. At least nothing I could find that suggested he was a stripper.
Was he one of those Chief Justice that was like stripping in a hotel room with like someone else and he got caught on film? And
How does that be considered being a stripper?
Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know.
I know you know what a stripper is.
No, like on camera, like you know how like the sex tape, but he was just stripping on camera or something.
But that doesn't make you a stripper. A stripper is an exotic dancer.
Maybe he was doing it for money.
Was he dancing in the video? You just said he was stripping down. That would just mean he was preparing to do whatever.
Well, maybe you're just taking the word too literally. Maybe he was literally stripping down to his underwear. Not necessarily.
No, because of the context of the conversation, Marge asked Homer if he thought Bart would become a male stripper, and in her, when she was thinking of what Bart could be, he was an exotic dancer. It's all in the context.
And so then we get, for whatever reason, Ion Springfield. So we completely turn our attention.
Yeah.
And so we're featuring a man who has been hiccuping for 45 years.
I looked this up. The world record is 68 years
that he's been like consistent hiccuping. Like, is that how you base it, or can he stop for like 10 minutes to eat dinner and then start hiccuping again?
I didn't actually read the basis, but the dude, I'm assuming it's there's I think it was a condition.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it still counts. He's still hiccuping. So, but I feel like as long as the hiccups are consistent.
Yeah, I would love to know. I would love to know the consistency. Does it have to be every 3 seconds, 5 seconds?
5 seconds.
I mean, I hiccup every, maybe 2 to 3 days. I mean,
that doesn't count.
No, I mean, so far I've been hiccuping for 38 years.
That's not how it works. It's got to be a consistent hiccuping.
Oh, okay. Like the guy saying, "Hiccup, kill me. Hiccup, kill me."
I mean, if you had been hiccuping for 45 years straight, I'd probably say the same thing.
Yep. And so then Kent Brockman is in Korea doing an on-site. He's apparently Springfield has the money to send their anchors to Korea.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
And so he's in there kind of looking at the basically a sweatshop conditions of animators. And obviously that was kind of poking fun at the Simpsons, Korean animators. Ken Brockman's like, but first, let's take a look at back at the year 1928, a year when you might have seen Al Capone dancing the Charleston on top of a flagpole. It was also the year of the first Itchy and Scratchy cartoon entitled The Happy Cat.
No, not the first Itchy and Scratchy, the first Scratchy cartoon.
Oh yeah, first Scratchy cartoon. Sorry.
That's a very important distinction.
Yeah. The film did very poorly. But the following year, Scratchy was teamed up with a psychotic young mouse named Itchy, and cartoon history was made.
So I looked this up. As you mentioned, 28 was the first year of the very first Scratchy cartoon. Now, the first Itchy cartoon, which we learn in season 7, episode 18, was The Day the Violence Died. And that's the first Itchy episode to come out, which came out in 1919.
And so the whole thing was, okay, so once we get to this episode, we'll discuss it more, but was the whole thing that the guy created Itchy and Scratchy, or just Itchy?
I think it was both, but we'll get to that when we get to season 7.
Okay, sounds good.
I can't remember if it was both or just Itchy. And so, as you mentioned, 1929 was, because it's the year after 28, was the first year Itchy and Scratchy was paired up in an episode titled Steamboat Itchy, which is a reference to Steamboat Willie.
Yep.
So it's the first Mickey Mouse cartoon.
Once again, making fun of something Disney related.
I know. It's great. And so, and then Kent Brockman, mentions there's an Itchy and Scratchy episode where they teamed up and beat up Hitler, because who doesn't like to see that?
Yep.
And so, apparently Bart is watching this, and Homer comes home and he's into the room and he asks Bart if he's watching Maggie.
And once again, did he come in through the back door again?
Well, maybe he was already home.
Okay.
Maybe, but I feel like if he was already home, because this is kind of the scenario when you talked about me lighting your room on fire. I was 3, which makes you 7, but our dad was home. He was downstairs.
Yeah.
So maybe Homer was home, but he asked Bart to watch Maggie for a little bit while he went and did something. Although, which is weird because Homer doesn't do things because he's lazy.
Yep.
And so Maggie's not there. And somehow, some way, Maggie was able to grab Homer's car keys, get out of the house, get into Homer's car, start the car, get her foot on the gas pedal, and drive away. And be able to shift gears.
No, I don't think... you might put it into drive. Not shift gears. Put it into drive. It's automatic.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming she had to reverse out of the driveway and then put it in drive. How... I get the joke. It's hilarious. It sets up, the back half of this episode. No way in hell is this ever happening.
No, but remember, what was it, Bart? Remember the babysitter episode? The Babysitter Band-Aid, where baby Bart got in the car and drove it into or trying to hit the babysitter.
I think I said in that episode that was implausible.
Yep.
So Homer, so Maggie, drives away, and Marge passes Maggie. I don't know if she noticed that it was Maggie.
Oh, she did. She did. She was like, "Oh my god."
And then Maggie drives past Chief Wiggum, Eddie, and Lou, which oddly enough, we never see Ralph, or we never see Chief Wiggum in Lisa's classroom during parent-teacher conference.
No? Oh my God, you're right.
He was never in the room. Now, we didn't see his wife either, so maybe they just forgot.
Or I don't know if you were paying attention. I would notice Chief Wiggum. I wouldn't notice Sarah.
That's true. So, Chief Wiggum was definitely not there. Now, granted, he's the chief of police, but he could probably take a few minutes out of his day, considering they were buying coffee when Maggie drove by. And I love his reaction. He goes, "Oh, that's cute." And he's like, "Oh, look, a dog driving a bus." What is this? What is this, Crazy Land?
Yep, it's Springfield.
Yeah. So Maggie eventually crashes into the Springfield Correctional Institute, and the airbag deploys, and she falls asleep, and inmates escape. And I would like to point out that we notice Snake escape.
It was like, all right, time to go do some crime.
Yep. I mean, that's what you say when you break out from prison. So then we see
Homer's
they're
car.
all back in the driveway, and it's crumpled.
So that
Well, it hit something.
Well, yeah. But isn't that like a staple of Homer's car, like from here on out? Like, don't we see that even in future episodes where like the front left bumper of Homer's car is always crumpled? It always has that little crumple on it.
I think it was there before
this
accident.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know. That's what I was kind of wondering, if this was like the first time we noticed that, or if this was the episode that had happened and now became permanent.
I think we saw it before, because I think we see it in like the opening sequence.
Okay, we'll put a pin in that and keep an eye out.
So, Homer's angry at Bart for letting Maggie drive his car, even though it seemed like Homer was home. And he punishes Bart by banning him from ever seeing the Itchy and Scratchy movie, takes up the ticket and tears it up. And mind you, the movie is coming out the next day.
Yep. So it's Christmas. So apparently it's Christmas Eve.
Now here's the thing. Now when in the trailer it says coming for Christmas, not coming at Christmas.
Well, no, it's probably a Christmas release movie. Or even, to be fair, let's say it's like the week before Christmas or the week after Christmas.
But the thing is, the trailer says coming for Christmas. Does that mean Itchy and Scratchy?
I would think it's
coming after.
Releasing on Christmas Day. That's usually how they present it on all the trailers that I've ever seen for
but that's just
Harry Potter. Like Harry Potter always came out on Christmas.
But that just seems like weird wording where you would say coming for Christmas.
Yeah, coming for Christmas.
But they said it at the beginning of the trailer, not the end.
Well, no, either way. I mean, that's how just some of those trailers are. Go watch trailers. Go watch any of the Christmas related trailers. So all the Harry Potter ones. I guess I can't remember. The Harry Potter was the big one that always came out on Christmas.
So Homer finishes punishing Bart, and after that happens, and if you notice, Homer actually sees Snake run by the window.
Yep.
Because his head turns. And so Snake runs by, and he's holding a beta VCR, and I love how he's like, oh, it's Beta.
I know, that was so awesome.
That's great.
Because he probably was a smash and grab job and didn't realize whoever he robbed the thing from was a beta player, yeah.
So Lisa butts in and she goes, I think this punishment is too harsh. This movie is the defining event of our generation. It compares and then she compares and she asks Homer, well, what would you do if somebody took away watching the moon landing from you? And we cut to Abe watching the moon landing and Homer sitting in a beanbag chair singing along to Yummy, Yummy, Yummy by the Ohio Express.
That was awesome.
That's great. But I think that's a false equivalency because like many, like there's so many movies that come out that define a generation. There's like in the 80s you have Jurassic Park, Back to the Future.
90s, dude. 80s was Back to the Future. 90s was Jurassic Park.
You're right, because I was alive when Jurassic Park came out. But you had like Back to the Future, Dirty Dancing was 80s, right?
Yeah, but okay, so no, but okay, look at the 80s kids. Like anyone who was, I'd say between the ages of, I mean, Lisa's 8, so I don't know if I want to count that, but anyone between the ages of, let's say, 10 and 18. Yeah. In a certain generation, so the 80s, I would say Back to the Future would be a defining moment. 90s, I would say Jurassic Park would be a defining moment.
What about Ghostbusters? That was 80s.
Yeah. I mean, that, and funny enough, that was both like the same time. Yeah. Back to the Future and Ghostbusters were released within the same year. So
and maybe you're not a comedy fan. Maybe you're a horror fan. Evil Dead came out in the 80s. Halloween came out in the 80s. Like, there's not one particular movie that would define a generation, as Lisa would like to say.
Yeah.
And the moon landing is a once-in-a-lifetime event.
Yep.
That is generational defining.
So Lisa got that one right.
She got that right, but the fact that, like, you know, Homer bans him from seeing this movie ever. Now, you know, you're telling me when he turns 18, he doesn't go find it on VHS to watch it?
Well, you could spoiler alert for the end of the episode, but Bart actually kept his promise.
He did, but I feel like, but here's the thing, you know, they present him so much as this bad boy that they went so over the top in presenting him such as a bad boy that you're telling me that Bart wouldn't even try to sneak into the movie? Because he's done that before. I mean, he got caught, but still.
Maybe he realized sneaking into Space Mutants was a bad idea and got caught, so he never wanted to sneak in again. I mean, that's definitely
wasn't
possible.
That after this? That was
the Tall Tale Head episode.
Oh, you're right.
And also at the box window, they had "Do Not Sell to This Boy." And then probably at video stores after it was released on disc, Homer went to all the video stores and "Don't rent to this boy."
I don't know. Because once Bart turns 18, he's allowed to do whatever he wants. He's an adult.
Yes, once Bart turns 18, but they don't age. Or at some point they do age.
They do age because, spoiler alert, Bart and Homer are freaking old at the end of this episode.
So at some point, the Simpsons will age. We don't know. We don't know when this is. But at some point, the Simpsons will break out of their, thing and age. But anyway... So now we cut to the day of the release, which once again, everyone's outside waiting for this movie and no snow, no decoration, no Christmas.
So now I have to ask you, is there a movie or maybe movies that you've stood in line in to like wait to go in to the theater?
Yeah. So, I mean, quite a few of them when I was a kid. I mean, most of the Harry Potters, the Star Wars.
Star Wars was my big one.
Those ones all had huge lines. I think those are the biggest ones that I could, off the top of my head, remember. I'm sure
I never waited in line to go see Harry Potter. Maybe the first one. I wasn't by the time the movies came out, like I love the books, but by the time the movies came out, I wasn't to me, it was not my cup of tea anymore. But I believe when Toy Story first came out, yeah, there was a long line for that.
Yeah, now this day and age, the only movies I really wait in line for are my what are those called? The pre-screenings, right? Yes. I have to wait in line for the pre-screening. Yeah. Nowadays, there's no waiting in line anymore. Everything is you pick your seats, but when you get your tickets.
Yep.
So unfortunately, now there's no waiting in line. You just show up 5 minutes before the movie starts. You go sit in your seat and They took that away from us, man. They took away the waiting in lines.
Anyways, who is waiting in line?
Yeah, so the people waiting in line for the Itchy and Scratchy movie are Milhouse. Makes complete sense.
Yep.
Martin. 50-50, I think.
Yeah.
But he's a kid, so, you know.
Yeah.
Ned and Rod Flanders. Now, what were they thinking that they were going to see?
Or maybe they were going to see a different movie and the movie theater hadn't opened yet. Now, mind you, this is like one of those older movie theaters where it only has like two doors in.
Yeah, 2 doors in, one ticket counter.
So maybe they were waiting for a different movie. I can't imagine Ned would allow Rod to see the Itchy and Scratchy movie.
Yeah, so...
Although according to Lisa, it's a generational event, so maybe Ned's like, I don't want my boy to be left out of this.
Yeah, but we do realize that, like, okay, what was it? There was the one where they wouldn't even let him watch David and Goliath because he thought the talking dog was blasphemous.
No, he didn't want to watch it because the talking dog was blasphemous. That wasn't even on Ned and Maude. Rod didn't want to watch it because of that.
Yeah, so why would he want to go see the Itchy and Scratchy movie?
Yeah, I don't know. That one's weird. That's a weird one.
That one's odd. But I also like to point out, why is there a line when even Bart pre-bought his tickets? Well, okay, there's a line because seats.
Yes.
Like, so that is the one reason why we lined up. It wasn't to buy tickets. The reason we lined up was to get good seats in the theater.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Put 2 and 2 together.
And there were a lot of fighting over good seats.
Yep. So we also see Otto in a sleeping bag, which means he slept over because he wanted the best seat.
But now here's my question. He wasn't even like first in line.
So when did this line start?
Yeah.
Abe and Jasper are playing checkers within the line. Why are they going to see this movie?
Or maybe they got confused?
I don't know.
Because remember, Abe hates Itchy and Scratchy.
I know. And then last but not least...
As we learn later. But...
Yep. And last but not least, we see Wendell coming in at the end of the line, which is right in front of the Simpsons house.
Dude, where is the movie theater compared to the Simpsons house? And how many people live in Springfield that... What, did everybody in Springfield show up to... I love when they're like doing the long line, like they're doing like a pan shot. They're like standing on the bridge and the bridge opens and a guy falls in and he goes, I regret nothing.
Yeah. But I also like that this wasn't at the Googleplex. This was at the Aztec. So this was, was it first appearance of the Aztec?
No, they've had the Aztec before.
All right. So why wouldn't they all be at the Googleplex seeing it?
I feel like the Googleplex would have more seats.
And more screens. They probably would have showed it on multiples. For a big of a movie this supposedly is.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then Homer tells Bart that he will thank him someday. And Bart replies, not bloody likely. Now this quote, hands down, one of my favorites.
The funny thing is, this quote is on the first album of The Simpsons.
Yep.
Because it leads into the Itchy and Scratchy theme song.
Yep. And he's like, let me tell you a story about how I always wanted a baseball mitt. And my father wouldn't get it for me. So I held my breath until I passed out and banged my head on the coffee table. Doctors thought I might have brain damage. Dad, what's the point of the story? I like stories. This is one of my top 10 favorite Homer quotes. Hands down. Because it makes no sense, but is absolutely hilarious.
And it's 100% Homer Simpson.
Oh, yes. And so Homer tells Bart he can watch whatever he wants on TV, and then he's like, TV sucks.
I know you're upset.
But I'm going to pretend I didn't hear this. God, just this whole sequence just right here is amazing.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yep.
It's the only redeeming quality of this
episode.
I know. Anyways.
And so Bart tries to, entertain himself by imagining what he is missing at the movie. And he just sees Itchy and Scratchy literally standing in his head like, okay, Bart, you've seen every episode of Itchy and Scratchy. This is the best you could do.
And I love even in his thought bubble, Scratchy's like, come on,
you can do it.
Make us do something.
You can do it.
Yeah.
And so Bart, sitting on the couch, Lisa comes home. He's like, how was it? It wasn't that great. And Bart's like, be honest. It was the greatest movie I've seen in my entire life. Oh. And you wouldn't believe the celebrities you did cameos. Dustin Hoffman, Michael Jackson. Of course, they didn't use their real names, but you could tell it was them.
I love this joke. It's so good.
Yep. So for
this is a great meta joke. It's a great meta joke.
So for those of you that don't remember, Dustin Hoffman played Lisa's substitute, Mr. Bergstrom, and Michael Jackson played fake Michael Jackson in the episode that was banned on Disney Plus. So you guys might have never seen it if you guys are young and don't have the DVD box set.
I love it so much.
Great.
I love the day because I know Dustin Hoffman regrets not putting his name on it.
Yep.
No. Here's the question: couldn't he go back to The Simpsons and ask him to now? Granted, it probably cost a lot of money at this point, but maybe a couple years after the episode aired, maybe couldn't he have gone back to The Simpsons, but hey, you guys are doing really well. I want my name on this. Can you go back and re-edit the credits?
Probably.
For
the only thing that might have held that up is royalties. They would have probably putting his name in it might have, and they're like, nope, you turned it down. We're not paying you royalties for it.
Yeah.
That could
maybe,
be
unless he waived his royalty fees.
That you could have done that too.
Yeah.
And so now we cut to school, and Bart is reading the Itchy and Scratchy the movie, the novel by Norman Mailer. Have you ever read a book based on a movie that either A, you haven't seen, or B, you thought, oh, the book's out?
A book based on a movie, or a movie based
on a book? A book that was written to detail the movie.
No, I have not.
Okay.
The closest I have gotten to reading any sort of material, comic book, whatever. The only thing I've gotten close to reading is the Rick and Morty comic books you've bought for me.
I mean, that's not based on the movie or the TV show.
Well, aren't they based?
No. I'm talking about a book. You know, like when you go to a bookstore now, and or a bookstore or Target, and you walk past all the books, and you literally see the movie cover, on the book. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like a book, like they basically transcribed the movie into book format.
No, I've never done that. Because wasn't Jurassic Park?
No, that was a book first. I'm talking about I'm talking about a book that came out after the movie. That was basically transcribed.
I don't think I've ever seen a book come out after a movie.
Yeah, they do. You can.
Well, no. I'm not saying they don't. I was saying I don't think I've ever seen one.
Go to Target and look at their books. You'll see a few for all the movies.
But why would I want to look at the books? The movies are always better.
Because you're not allowed to see the movie. But
I'm not Bart. I didn't let Maggie drive the car.
Yeah, and so I like how Milhouse comes up with Nelson behind him, and once again, why are Milhouse and Nelson hanging out? I guess, but Milhouse is like, I've seen the movie 13 times, and Nelson's like, I've seen it 17 times, and Bart turns to him, boy, you must be getting pretty tired of this movie, and he's like, only someone who's never seen the movie would say something like that. And this has been a memed thing for quite some time now.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, so it'll be like, oh, I've listened to this album such and such time, and I've listened to this song such and such time. And then he's like, oh, you must be getting pretty sick of that song.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Now granted they're kids, that's probably their first thought, but there's definitely movies I've watched or TV shows or listened to music where I only saw it once or listened to it once, and I was like, and then I've heard people go like, oh, I love this song. I'm like, the song's not that great. Or said something to the fact of what Bart said, but I've listened to it. So, maybe, now granted, Bart would have loved the movie because it's Bart. So I guess their deductive reasoning was good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's really weird.
Or Bart is Milhouse's best friend, so maybe he knew that he's not allowed to.
But that's the thing. They wouldn't have gone up to Bart if Milhouse knew he had not seen the movie.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a weird. Yeah, it's weird.
But it's a funny gag.
Yeah,
I do like that. And so Lisa and Marge, come into the living room and want to talk to Homer. They're like, oh, just let Bart see the movie. It's been 2 months. I think he's learned his lesson. Which, I mean, come on. If Bart did nothing wrong, he was actually a good kid. You know what I mean? He was a good kid. He literally learned his lesson.
Yeah.
And it's been 2 months. I think our parents at that point would be like, okay, you've actually been a good kid for the past 2 months. You've learned your lesson. All right, let's go see it. And Homer's like, nope, I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to stick to my guns because otherwise Bart could end up the judge at a Mr. Tight Buns competition. Now, here's the thing. Like, so, as I mentioned before, growing up, like, my punishments stuck for maybe like a week or two. Like, now, granted, I don't think I was really a bad kid per se. And I don't remember what got me grounded for a month when I was like in middle school. But like, once, like, I got a TV in my room when I was about like 8th grade. So I was like 13, 14. And I had my Super Nintendo up there. If I ever got punished, yeah, I would just play my Super Nintendo when my parents were downstairs. Because it was a big enough house where I just kept the volume down. So I never learned anything.
Good kid. I'm glad. I'll make sure mom listens to this episode.
Like, oh no, she caught me a few times playing Super Nintendo. And then she would threaten to take it away. And then she never did. I don't know why she would threaten it instead of just not doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
Because that would have probably taught me more of a lesson than be like, well, if you keep doing this, I'm going to take it away instead of, you know what, you've been bad, I'm taking it away. Anyways, so Bart tries to go to see the movie, and there's a poster, as Steve mentioned earlier, in the ticket counter that says, "Do not sell this boy." And the ticket guy was like, I promised your dad we wouldn't sell you a ticket. So I feel like, I get it's a small town, and we're like, but what would Homer do if he sold Bart a ticket? Like,
that Bart, he would have realized Bart would have come out. Okay, look, the reason they catch criminals is because they flaunt what they stole. They can't keep a secret. Like, criminals want people to know that they did something bad. I guarantee you, Bart probably would have just at some point would have slipped up. Oh, that was a great movie. Oh, remember this time in the Itchy and Scratchy movie?
But here's the thing: if I'm running an establishment and the person that comes up, unless they've been banned from the establishment, I'm going to sell them a ticket because I'm trying to make money. I understand what Homer is trying to do. And it goes to the end of the episode. But at the same time, if I'm running an establishment in a small town and some random guy comes in and says,
but he wasn't
hey,
random. He wasn't. Oh, you're talking about Homer?
Yeah, okay, even if I knew the guy came in, like, oh, don't sell to my son, I'm going to go, well, he hasn't done anything wrong.
Well, technically he's stuck into a movie at the Aztec, so he did do something wrong.
That is true, but maybe time heals all wounds. But I'm like, okay, we're putting that aside. If a father comes into my store or place of business and tells me not to sell to his kid, I'm going to be like, look, as long as he hasn't done anything wrong in my store or place of business, I'm still going to sell to him.
No, look, he's 10 years old. I mean, look, if he walked into I guess you have to be 18 years older or now to buy like fireworks.
Correct.
Even at Target, like the dumb fireworks at Target.
Well,
back in the 90s though, you couldn't, or you could literally buy anything, drugs, whatever. They no ID checking whatsoever. So Bart, if I was at a Target and I didn't want my kid buying fireworks at the Target, I'd go into the manager and be like, hey, don't sell my kid fireworks. I'm sure they would allot it because, hey, it's dangerous. It's,
But watching a movie isn't dangerous.
It can be. He could learn something in the movie and be like, oh, I wonder if this works in real life. Let's chop off some cat's head.
Bart isn't a sociopath.
All right, let's move on from this. Come on, we got to finish this episode.
Well, so then so now we get the, Ken's doing, oh, this is the last, time Itchy and Scratchy will be in the theater, and we see the billboard getting replaced with a Springfield Barber College billboard, but they leave the blood gushing part in it.
Well, it's like what is it? The Johnny Depp movie. Not really Johnny Depp movie, but it was a play first or a musical. Barber of Seville.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, maybe it was like a reference to that.
Maybe. So it's now 8 months since the movie came out, and it got 9 Academy Awards. So I guess it's a really good movie.
It must have been Now, one thing that I do appreciate about this scene, which is actually really cool. So it's Christmas time, right? So we get zero Christmas whatsoever in this entire town. But 8 months after that would be August, right?
Yeah.
Leaves start changing color. They actually made it look like it was fall. Like the background,
Oh.
the background atmosphere made it seem like it was fall. So it's like, at some point, one of the artists was like, oh, 8 months later? Okay, it came out at Christmas. Oh, it's fall time. Like, it's so weird.
It's weird. So
Now, do you know the longest running theater release in history?
No.
Independence Day.
Okay.
It ran from 4th of July 96 to almost 4th of July the following year. It like left theaters in like April.
Wow.
So longest running theater, because it was a huge movie. Just absolutely huge. And I think there were always times of them talking about pulling it out. And I would keep driving by our movie theater as a kid, when so I was like, 14, 15, whatever. I kept driving by the movie theater and I kept seeing Independence Day on the marquee. I'm like, fuck, is this thing ever going to leave theaters?
Yeah.
But no, it was the longest running, and it won a bunch of Academy Awards too. So
yeah,
for those of you that following along with what I'm saying, Itchy and Scratchy movie is just as good as Independence Day.
So Homer and Bart are in the house watching this Kent Brockman special.
Yep.
And Bart, tells Homer that he won, and Homer's like, "No, we both won because I set you on a special path."
Yep.
And so now we get 40 years later, we get futuristic Springfield for the first time. We have flying cars. Moses' sign is futuristic. It's a very futuristic world.
Yep.
And we learn that Bart is now the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. And he's in Springfield visiting Homer. Why is he wearing his robes?
Because Chief Justices like wearing their robes.
Whatever. So the Aztec is now showing classics of animation featuring the Itchy and Scratchy movie with Beauty and the Beast, which is another Disney movie.
Yep.
So, Homer's like, I think you learned your lesson. We can go see the movie.
Yep.
So we see a sign that says first 50 customers get a free Glexnor, whatever the hell a Glexnor is. And so Bart asks Homer if he wants to see it. And Homer, as I just mentioned, Homer's thought Bart learned his lesson, which I would feel like, if he's supreme, like, I feel like once he got into college and law school and like was successful in life, I feel like that's the point he learned his lesson.
Well, no, but Homer, but remember, Itchy and Scratchy probably wasn't back in theaters. This is like the 40th anniversary. So like they are doing now, which is kind of cool. They put anniversary dated movies in the theaters. So it was probably just an anniversary of the movie. And they're like, hey, let's bring it back to theaters. And so they go up to buy tickets and you see the poster of Bart still hanging up.
Don't sell this kid.
Don't sell this kid a ticket.
But Homer's there with him, so
it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's probably not the same ticket taker either, so he probably doesn't even remember.
Yeah.
And so tickets now cost $650.
Jesus. Well, I guess I'm never seeing a movie again. And well, granted, so this would have been 2032, so we're only 11 years away from this.
Yeah. So look, Disney Plus for premiere access for movies in home are like $20.
Yeah.
So they're getting pretty pricey just to see a movie.
But $650 in 11 years? 12 years?
Yeah.
11 years?
That's outrageous. We'll see. We'll put a pin in this. And I think we should still be recording these by then. So
probably.
So we'll put a pin in this and we'll come back.
We'll come back to you in 11 years.
We'll see if ticket prices are still $650 or are $650. So they go buy movie snacks and Soylent Green is one of the items they can buy, which is a reference to the movie Soylent Green, where food is made from people. So in
spoiler alert.
So in 2032, we'll also put a pin in this, see if we're eating people yet.
I think we kind of. Well, we're not cannibals. Never mind.
No. And then the way Homer and Bart walk into the theater to see Itchy and Scratchy is a reference to Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Which I love. Mystery Science Theater 3000 is fantastic. I love this reference.
Now the shot, I wish they would have done the shot of this next conversation where, Homer and Bart are talking about the movie, if they did it from that Mystery Science Theater 3000 perspective.
Yeah.
But unfortunately.
Yeah, but that perspective, the guys are making fun of the movie.
Well, yeah. I mean, but they're still talking about the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well go all out. If you do one reference, you might as well just finish it, close out the episode like it.
Yeah.
But, so we see I don't know, obviously if it was an intro to the movie or what it was, but a scene. Yeah, Itchy ties Scratchy to the train tracks, but the conductor won't let Itchy drive because he's not a conductor. So he goes to engineering school to get his degree. And then by the time he gets back, Itchy's trying to get out of, pretty much almost out of the ropes. And Scratchy runs him over with the train.
You flipped that, by the way. Scratchy's the cat.
Yeah, sorry. Scratchy's almost out of the ropes and Itchy runs him over with the train. So It took quite a long time for either Itchy to get his degree or for Scratchy to untie himself. I don't know. Or both. And Homer asks which one the mouse is. And Bart tells him that it's Itchy. And Homer responds by saying, Itchy's a jerk.
And scene. God, this episode, man, it's so hard for me to grade it because, as you pointed out, it's a lot of just the scenes. I wouldn't say necessarily were random, but they just seem like put together, and like all the bad things that Bart did, like smashing mustard packets. Okay, just make him clean it up. Ripping up the carpet. Okay, that's kind of bad because now you got to fix it. But we've never seen up to this point that Bart was this bad of a kid. And the fact that, Bart stuck to his guns about not seeing this movie for 40 years, I feel like at some point in his life, he would have seen the movie either on purpose or even on accident. Like maybe as a friend who has a DVD, he's like, hey, let's go nostalgia this week and watch the Itchy and Scratchy movie.
Or it was on TV, like on FX or something.
Like, I feel like he would have not kept his promise for 40 years, either on purpose or on accident. Like, so I'm just gonna go 3. Don't have a cow man. It's got that the classic Homer line where he's like, I like stories.
Yeah.
Again, as I've said, anything that ends up on an album is usually a good episode. This is the second time this has happened now. But this isn't really a song. That's not really a song. It's just, a phrase.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's got some good jokes, but it's a 3.
Yeah. I mean,
Bobby agrees with me.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this episode coming up. I'm like, oh, it's the Itchy and Scratchy movie. I love this episode when I was growing up.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, time did not test my brain to this episode. Because after watching, I'm like, this really wasn't that good. And I think it was the whole, I didn't realize it was Christmas I didn't realize it was Christmas. I didn't realize how thrown together it looked like the episode was. I mean, the bits and pieces that were good, but I was really going into this episode like, oh, I'm gonna give this episode a 5, like even before I even like watched it. But yeah, after watching the episode, I'm kind of with you. I'm like, middle of the road, don't have a cow, man.
Yeah,
like it kind of was like, look, if you're gonna make it Christmas, fine. At least you don't have to make it a Christmas episode.
No, but show us that it's Christmas.
Show us that it's Christmas. Do a little legwork. We know it snows in Springfield during the winter. Do some legwork. Do some, make it okay. So there's a line waiting for the movie. Make it seem like, oh, we're so hardcore. We're bundled up. We're warm waiting for this movie. I don't know. Just do something. That just seems really crazy to me. But everything, I mean, the punishment side, I think obviously it was kind of like, oh, we have to punish our kids. We have to make, this is how we make them respect, adults.
And Homer was very bad at punishing Bart.
Yeah, until the Itchy and Scratchy movie, and then he was like, okay, and then I'm sure Homer's like, oh, it worked. Punishments work. But I think the whole Lisa and Marge side of it is like, oh, it's been 2 months. Let them go see it. I mean, there are bits and pieces of this episode that definitely are classic. They're funny. They're good. The Looney Tunes stuff that Bart kind of goes through, even though it doesn't necessarily equate to reality, but it's still funny. It still does what it's meant to do. But yeah, 3, I'm going with the 3. But yeah, so let's break down our character profile. And this one, we're going back to the beginning. Back to 1920s Itchy and Scratchy.
Even though technically Itchy was born in 1919.
Yep. But we don't know that yet.
Nope.
So Itchy and Scratchy were born in 1928. They died endlessly. More Scratchy than Itchy, but
Yeah.
Their first appearance was in black and white.
Yep.
As was the color at the time. Their first cartoon, the first cartoon, the Happy Cat, featuring only Scratchy, and it performed poorly.
Yep.
And then first teaming of Itchy with Scratchy was Steamboat Willie, which was awesome.
Steamboat Scratchy.
Sorry, Steamboat Scratchy. Why did I write Steamboat Willie? I think it was just in my head. No, it was Steamboat Itchy.
Steamboat Itchy. You're
yes.
Right. Yeah. We got there.
We got there.
It's a reference to Steamboat Willie.
Yes, and I love the whistling. And then, his first weapon of menace was a Tommy gun that Itchy used to repeatedly shoot out Scratchy's knees. That was awesome. I love how they turned into bones, too.
Yes.
And their second weapon of menace, a furnace into which Itchy leads Scratchy, closing the door behind his body. And then, his body goes limp, and then he pulls him out, and it's like burnt-ass skull.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
That Itchy and Scratchy.
Pretty brutal, man.
Yep.
He's a brutal mouse. We all know that cats hate mice. Now that I think about it, and I don't know why this thought never crossed my mind. So, the mice in the world of cartoons have always been out to destroy cats.
No, I don't know about that, because there's quite a few Tom and Jerry episodes where Tom and Jerry team up.
But the original Tom and Jerry, the original episodes was always, Tom going after Jerry, and Jerry blowing him up, strapping his tail between mouse traps. Nothing as bloody and violent as this, but...
No, but also don't forget, in the original cartoons, Jerry is a cat.
No, Jerry's a mouse.
Jerry's a mouse, Tom's a cat. Tom was told to keep the mouse out of the house. So he was just doing his job.
Yeah.
Jerry is a jerk.
Itchy's a jerk. All right, guys, let's close it out. As always, you can find us on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Search The Simpsons Did It Podcast. You can find our podcast on YouTube. And you can donate. buymeacoffee.com/The Simpsons Did It Pod. We got stickers for everyone who donates, so donate and get some free stickers. And the more you donate, hopefully sooner down the line, we have some other free awesome stuff that we can mail out to you. So until next time, I'm Steven Skolansky.
I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.
Shh.